Check. We good? Alright, welcome to the channel. I'm Owen, or Clutch, bringing in some banger content. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my first time smoking pot. Also, go follow my socials, links are down in the description below. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright guys, so a little bit of backstory on this one. So this happened when I was about 14 years old, and it was with my uncle as well as like his best friend at the time. So my uncle is 21 now, but back then he would have been 18, I believe, and same with his friend there. So every Sunday, with my dad's side of the family, we'd always go over to his wife's mom's house, right, for dinner. It was kind of like, because they were like kind of like religious, I guess, but like they never really went to church, but it was always like Sunday dinner was kind of the thing that we did. So I guess you could call it some sort of like, I don't know, tradition that they always did. But anyways, so my cousin lived next door, right? And so I would always go over there like whenever we went over for dinner on the Sunday. And my uncle happened to be there as well as his friend. I don't think I mentioned that before, but yeah, so it was the three of them. There's my uncle, who was 18, his friend, and then my cousin. And yeah, they always hung out or whatever because they're all around the same age. It's kind of weird, whatever. Anyways, so we go over for Sunday dinner over to the old G-Ma's there, right? And I'm like, all right, I'll let me know when dinner's ready. I'm gonna go over and say what's up to the lads, right? So I moss over to my cousin's house, and lo and behold, downstairs in the bedroom, there's my cousin and the two other guys, right? And they were like, there's some shit laying around or whatever, like, you know, pop cans and fucking water balls and stuff. So what they had done the night before is they made some sort of like pop can bong, you know what I'm saying? Like a little, well, I guess pop can pipe. I guess that's what it'd be, in water bottle bongs, because that's what they were using back then, I guess. And they were like kind of talking it up or whatever, playing some video games. And they're like, yo, you know, Owen, what, you want one? I'm like, want one of what? And he's like, well, you just put a little bit of weed on top of the pop can, man, and just smoke that, and, you know, you get a little buzz going for dinner or whatever. And, you know, me at the time, 14 years old, you know, I kind of looked up to them, right? So I was kind of like, all right, yeah, fuck it, let's do it, right? I was like, why not? You get a little fucking buzz going before dinner, maybe it'll help me enjoy dinner a bit better, because it was fucking boring, man. Dinner was always just boring. So I ended up kind of putting a little bit of pile on there, like, you know, if you guys know pop can pipes, right? You get the hole in the side as your choke. You got like the little holes on top where you put the top of your weed and you light it, and then you inhale through like where you would drink out of, right? So they get that set up for me. I hold it. They kind of taught me, like showed me kind of what to do and how to do it. So I was like, all right, I got this. Pass the lighter. Let me get this going. So I smoke it, light it up, smoke it, right? Probably inhaled all that toxic paint and all the other bullshit, but whatever, you know. I still wanted to get a little buzz going, right? Back in the day. So we get her going. Let's smoke it up, you know, inhale it all, blow it out. Obviously I coughed a little bit because, I mean, first time, right? So because kind of hacking and stuff like that, and they're all laughing at me or whatever. I'm like, fuck off, it's my first time, man. And I'm like, you guys got any water around here? And he's like, my cousin had said that there's like, because there's water bottles lying around the room. He goes, oh man, just grab a water bottle that you think's, you know, that's full or whatever and do it. I'm like, okay. So I grabbed this one water bottle that had a little bit of water in it. It wasn't completely full, but it had a bit of water in it. And I was like, it was enough kind of to get me a sip, and it looked fine. So I went to go take a sip of that water, right? And I swallowed some of it, like a portion of it, like a little bit, like just a tap, right? I swallowed a little bit of it and was like, what the fuck? This tastes like shit water, right? So fucking, they were giggling and stuff, right? And I just swallowed a little bit, but I still had some in my mouth, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, what the fuck? So they were all laughing at me, like, why? I'm like, standing there like fucking whatever, and Buddy's laughing, he goes, that's bong water. And I fucking spit that shit all over his fucking like carpeted floor and everything, right? My cousin was pissed, all right? He was furious because I just fucking like spit bong water all over the fucking floor, right? And I think they only used it like a couple times, so it wasn't like it like really reeked like as if you're smoking like out of a bong all night, right? But like it still smelled, right? And his parents are always like, you know, they didn't like that, and they would have flipped out, right? So I was like, all right, fuck. So I just drank bong water, right? Smoked my first fucking pop can pipe and spit water all over the fucking ground, right? So that right there already tells you enough about how the rest of this day was gonna go, all right? So basically what ended up happening is we cleaned up the water. We took the vacuum to it and basically like sucked it all into the vacuum. Now I don't know if it fucked the vacuum or not, but I just thought that was probably our best like option, is to dry it up really quickly, was get the vacuum out, just vacuum over it. I was 14, right? So I was kind of like, fuck it, and they were all baked, so like they're like, whatever, right? I was like, okay. So we do that, and then not even 5 minutes after we got everything kind of cleaned up and squared away, my dad comes over to my cousin's house and goes, all right, it's time for dinner, boys. I'm like, all right. So I moss back over with my dad, right? And I start sitting down to eat dinner, and nothing had really kicked in yet, right? I mean, first time, some people get stoned, some people don't, right? Well, for me, I got pretty baked, all right? But it took a while to kick in. So I sat down at the old dinner table there, and sat down, and I think it was mashed potatoes and like roast beef or something like that, you know, some corn and some, you know, some little shit like that. So I start mucking my roast beef with gravy and my mashed potatoes and that, and then I kind of just started staring into my plate, right? And everyone at the dinner table started looking at me. They're like, you know, what the fuck's going on with Owen, right? They were a little bit suspicious about what's happening. So I kind of just snapped out of it and like, Owen, you good? I'm like, yeah, no, I was blanked out for a sec. I don't know, I was tired out. But, you know, in reality, I'm stoned. Like, I'm stoned as fuck, right? At least what I thought was being stoned. It might have been, you know, maybe like the Mandela effect. I don't know. But I just know that I felt something a lot different. And for my first time, that was not what I was expecting. It was good as hell, don't get me wrong. But it's not what I really was expecting to happen there. So after dinner, I helped do dishes and all that sort of stuff. And we go back home. And my dad asked me in the car, he goes, Owen, you've been smoking pot? Yeah, so I told my dad. I said, yeah, I did before dinner over there next door. And you know what? Man wasn't even mad. He really wasn't. He was more pissed off at the fact that, you know, his brother, right? It's my uncle, his brother, and my cousin, which is different cousin from the uncle, you know what I mean? Was like, would let me do that, right? He was pissed off at them. So he's calling up fucking my uncle, freaking out, getting all pissed off at him and that. And basically, long story short, I didn't hang out with my uncle again and my cousin. I wasn't allowed to go over there for like, I want to say a couple, like, I don't know, 2 months probably. I think it was about 2 months, man. It was like, we went over there every single Sunday, right? So that's 4 Sundays. That's like 8 different occasions where I could have been over there hanging out with them. And I loved hanging out with them, right? Could have been 8 different times that, I wasn't able to hang out with them, and they were always up to something, right? Like, I always had a good time, right? I guess that one was just like, it was a bit too much of a good time, if you know what I mean. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and sub, and also go and check out my social medias. Links are down in the description below. I'm Owen, or Clutch. Peace.